Hello everyone, welcome to the IAS Mentor Ancient History series. In this video, we are starting chapter number 1, that is Stone Age. In Stone Age itself, you will get multiple parts, part 1, part 2, part 3. That's why chapter number 1 contain multiple videos. With respect to this Stone Age, it is the foundation chapter. Generally, when it comes to history, one of the difficult chapter and also not that much interesting chapter is this one, first itself. And if you are not clear with the first chapter itself, then rest of the chapters are not going to give you much enjoyment. That's why let us try to make this chapter as interesting as possible. You will feel completely new perspective. You will see completely new perspective about this chapter number 1, that is Stone Age. You will come to know why it is important. To understand our past, our ancient India, this chapter number 1, that is Stone Age, is so crucial. After watching this video, you will come to know. You see this? This is the land. This is the land. UPSC started asking questions in both prelims and mains starting from the chapter number 1 itself. That's why we have to be very careful in understanding beginning itself. This is the physical map. Identify this. If you observe the political map as well as physical map, what kind of difference you are seeing? This is political. This is physical. Are you identifying some color changes in the land? If you identify here Saudi Arabia, you see some brown color, and in different places you are identifying some places are very green, some places are brown. Come to Indian subcontinent. Here also you will find brown and green patches. Wherever green patches are there, they are forests covered with the green. That means what? Forest, trees, lot of trees. Wherever brown color is there, that is a desert area. And if some area is in between, not very green also, not very brown also, that shows drought prone area or desert prone area or dry area, you can say. Forest is not that much. At the same time, it is not desert also. So it is like semi-arid, semi-desert in between. What is the importance? How this is connected with our past? What is the population of this land? How many people are living in this land? More than 140 crore. What is the beginning point of this journey? Today we are having 140 crores of people inhabiting in this land. Have you ever asked the question that when was the first person started living? First person? 140 crore today. But at some point of time, somewhere it should have been started, the human settlement. If you ask this question to any particular religious person, any kind of religious person, or you go to temple or mosque or church, anywhere, ask any kind of religious person. If you ask who created the first human being, who created man and woman, what is the answer? The people who believe very strongly in God, immediate answer is going to be God created the first man and first woman. Is it? Now, if God created first man and woman, first of all, who created the God concept itself? Whether God is first or human beings are first. Are you seeing this? The moment you are entering into history, you are going to understand so many aspects. Here, we are showing, I am showing you this land. In this land today, 140 crores of people are there. The next question is, when did first person start living in this? Is there any kind of evidence? Some people say that God created first human being. In which place the first human being started inhabiting in this land? This is with respect to India. What about the world? This not only India, the globe contains this much territory. Now, in this territory, where is the first person started? Is it India? Is it West Asia? Is it America? Is it Latin America? Where did? And what is the population of entire globe? The population of entire globe is this much. What is this? 800 plus crores. In that 800 crores, 140 crores are there in India itself. Another 150 plus crore in China itself. Around 300 crores, out of this 800 crore, around 300 crores are there in China and India only. Does it mean first person started from India? Or first human being started from China? What is the answer? How to identify the answer? The answer lies in archaeology. I'm introducing you the term. In UPSC prelims, you will find these terms. What is the term I'm introducing you here? Archaeology. So we are dealing with chapter number 1, that is Stone Age. What is the term I introduced? Archaeology. The answer to the question that where did first human beings started living, whether it is India, whether it is China or across the globe, the answer lies in this particular term, archaeology. What about God? You take any kind of religion. Every religion have their own books. For example, according to Bible, who is the first person? Who are our ancestors to entire human race? Human species evolved from Adam and Eve. This is the story of Bible. Bible means what? It is a written record. It is a written record. Identify this. The moment you have something in written format, that means something you can read and understand, that is called literary. Another term I am introducing, very important. From here itself you are getting UPSC prelims questions. And as we proceed, I will give you mains questions also. But be very careful with respect to ancient medieval India and modern India. Many prelims questions are coming. Around 14 to 15 questions used to come from history itself, ancient, medieval and modern India. Nowadays, more questions are coming from ancient India. That's why be very careful. Since the beginning itself, each and every term is important. In prelims questions, you will identify this terminology also. That means, if you want to find the answer of our earliest ancestors, about our earliest human ancestors, either you have to depend on the story created by this one. This we call literary source. What is our source? If you are talking, if any priest or any church father is talking about Adam and Eve, that means what is the source of his or her knowledge? The knowledge comes from Bible. Then if you go to any Hindu Pandit, immediately he or she may say that Brahma created the universe, Brahma created the human beings, or God created, any kind of name, created the first human being. Then again, what is the information for them? What is the source for them? The source for them is either Puranas, Mahabharata, Ramayana, and associated Hindu scriptures starting from Vedas. It could be Vedas, Puranas, Mahabharata, Ramayana. These are the sources. Those people who are following Christianity, Bible is the source. And if you ask any Islamic religious person, and they may say Allah created first human being. That is what? Before emergence of this source, before the emergence of this source, only our human beings are understanding about our own ancestors through this source only, literary source. Now, coming to this chapter number 1, Stone Age. What is the importance of this Stone Age in our history means? This is the chapter which talk about this only, not this part. That means what you are trying to say, you are going to question whatever Bible says. You are going to question whatever Quran says. You are going to question whatever Purana says. Are you not seeing some kind of revolutionary changes emerging in the history approach itself? Now, the moment you are questioning this, suppose had we live in 14th and 15th centuries in Europe, if you talk like this, immediately you are going to be killed immediately. In front of church only you are going to be killed. That is the kind of atmosphere that was there in 1400s, 1500s. We have already seen in detailed analysis in old history series that during Renaissance time period, Reformation time period, scientific discoveries time period, scientific inventions time period, age of discovery time period, they questioned these existing norms, and it has created uproar in European history, and they came out of this knowledge and they ruled the world completely, simply. One of the result of that development is emergence of a new idea or a new technology or new science related to our own past, our own ancestors. So here we are talking about history. What is the meaning of history? History means a record of humans' past. History is about records of past. Before the emergence of new knowledge, if someone asks, where is our beginning point? From where our origin starts, from where human beings started living on this earth and also started developing various knowledge across the globe, people were saying this. Some take Quran and start reading the phrases that this is how Allah created. Someone take the phrases from Hindu scriptures and start reading this is how God created. Someone take Bible and started reading different points that this is how God created. This is where the Stone Age is going to completely question the existing knowledge. The moment you understand Stone Age, your understanding about your approach towards history itself is going to change completely. That is, the beginning point of human beings not lies in these books, but somewhere else. Here I have introduced you some terms with respect to prelims also. Identify this. Written record. Written record. Remember this. I am going to give you the question also. I am going to explain how UPSC asks the questions. Literary source and archaeological sources. Archaeological sources, literary sources, written records. Written record is so important for the human history because this has differentiated between human animal and the rest of the animals. That's why even today also, you can generally in our day-to-day conversations also, you will see this, the people who are educated and the people who are not educated. Those who are educated are considered more civilized and well-mannered. Those who are not educated are not very good in communication, also not very good in dealing the social issues. But those educated people have a different approach towards the same social issues. The difference between educated person and uneducated person. In human history also, in our own past also, this writing technique developed by humans only has changed the lives of the people forever. Like today we are talking about artificial intelligence, where artificial intelligence means machines are about to think. Here this written means humans started thinking, humanity changed. If machines are about to start thinking, then machines are going to change the human world, and our world also is going to change completely in the coming future. It is one of such development, written records. Identify this, written records. With respect to Stone Age, there is a way to classification of our past. What happened to our ancestors from where our journey started on the earth. We humans are animals. We just evolved from animal stage to what is known as humans stage. What is this human character? Even today also, if there is a person who is cruelly killing someone, who is brutally behaving with someone, they used to be considered not as humans, but they are like animals, behaving like animals. Why the term? What is making humans different? That is the capability to think, the brain, and also the writing. As a result, people are giving the knowledge from one person to the other person, one generation to the other generations. That's how today whatever science we are understanding, that is given by our ancestors long ago, but we are getting that information through this technique, writing technique. Based on writing, our past itself classified into three segments. Prelims question is coming. Three segments. One is historic period. Historic period. Chapter number 1, Stone Age. To understand Stone Age, we need to understand this classification of our own past. Three segments. One is called historic period. This historic period means we know the story of our own ancestors through written record. That means identify this. Suppose if we are depending on written record, that means whatever Bible is saying, that is our history. Whatever Quran says, that is our history. Whatever Puranas are saying, that is our history. But what is the guarantee that whatever they are saying, that is 100% right? And also the people who are blindly believing in these books, they not only believe blindly on the stories, And also, they will force others also to believe this. That is where the problem emerged. That's where Renaissance, Reformation, we have seen in world history, how it has changed. What kind of changes they brought. The questioning of these texts, how the world has changed completely. The moment Europeans started questioning these practices, they became enlightened and they started ruling Europe also. They started ruling entire world also. That kind of development has taken place. But it did not happen all of a sudden. Many people have to be sacrificed, have to sacrifice their lives to bring new knowledge and a new approach to human life. But this is how our past written record, whatever written record is there for us, that is considered as historic period. That means what is happening here? Whatever these books says, that is history. They are not mythologies, they are not imaginative works, they are not any kind of ideological works, but just they are history. That is what, if we depend on written record as our source of the past, that means you are believing whatever is written as the fact and that is our past. But that is not the case. There are people before Bible. That means there are people before Adam and Eve. According to Bible, Adam and Eve are the first people. But science is telling it is not Adam and Eve. There are people before Adam and Eve. What is that? That answer is, this is historic period based on written record. So here prelims question is, if we depend on past, if we depend on written records to understand our human past, that is known as historic period. But if there is no written record, but there are people, they were also having their own religious belief. It's not that only people who are believing in these, having the religious beliefs. There were so many people who don't have any Bible, don't have any kind of Quran, don't have any kind of Puranic stories, but they were also believing in something. How do we know about them? Here, this is archaeological records. Historic period, this part we know, we call prehistoric period. Prehistoric period. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, our India's past starts from this area. And if you go by this, our history started around, say, like 3,500 years ago. Our history started at max 4,000 years ago. If we go by this, our written record in India, earliest surviving records are Vedas. That means 100 years ago or 200 years ago, if someone wants to know about India's history, people will be given Vedas. You study this, this is the beginning of our history. If we calculate the time, that is around 4,000 years ago. But astonishing fact is, our history is much deeper than this. When archaeological department, when Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, started digging more and more, when archaeology gaining ground, it started unraveling so many facts about India's past that India's history did not start from around 4,000 years ago. Even there is no exact beginning point also. At least, if this is 4,000 years ago, the evidence which is coming from this section, it is pushing. Some evidence is coming 6,000 years ago also. Some evidence is coming 8,000 years ago also. Some evidence is coming 10,000 years ago also. People were there here. Identify this. Now we are moving to the importance of first chapter, Stone Age. If you don't understand this, then you will miss completely the real importance of Stone Age. The first chapter is not just for remembering some facts and writing the answers. This is the very foundation of our history. See this. As per Vedas, if we go by that particular book as the beginning point of our history started 4,000 years ago. But archaeology is giving evidence that 6,000 years ago also some evidence came. That evidence is showing that there were people in India 6,000 years ago also. That means our past moved 2,000 years earlier. Then, if you dig somewhere, 8,000 years ago also something happened. Again, it is showing that 8,000 years ago also people were there. 10,000 years ago also people were there. 1 lakh years ago also people were there. 5 lakh years ago also people were there. And you understand now, by this time you are getting clarity that the more we dig our past is moving deeper and deeper. So what it is showing that 5 lakh years ago, 10 lakh years ago, 15 lakh years ago also some evidences are coming. Whoever living were there. 5 lakh years ago also people were there in this land. Whatever today we are calling Indian subcontinent, people were there. And today whatever food we are eating, and who created this food? Who identified whatever food crops, rice, wheat, barley, various crops are there? First, who identified that these crops are not poisonous, they can consume and we can survive. Food is required for survival. But in the initial phase, there must be some people who experimented. Today we are calling something called GM crops, genetically modified crops. And people are afraid to use genetically modified crops because they are afraid. We are afraid that it may affect our health. It may change our genes. It may affect completely our human lifestyle. In the similar way, when first rice crop was produced, when first wheat crop was produced, somebody must have tried, experimented from the nature. Who are those people? These are those people. Our food habits are the result of experiments done by our people lakhs of years ago. At least 10,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago. Whatever religious beliefs we are having, it's not about Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh when it comes to Hinduism. Buddhism, Jainism have their own way of understanding religion and gods. Quran has its own way of understanding God. Bible has its own way of understanding about gods. Then what about the religious belief of these people who were living 5 lakh years ago? 10 lakh years ago? Then if you keep on going, where is the first person? Is it India only first person? In what place humans evolved from animal to human stage means that evidence is going to Africa. That evidence is going to Africa. Somewhere here in Africa, from this area, and from this area, again, what is the source? Archaeology only. Archaeological source is giving the evidence that it's not India, it's not China, it's not USA, it's not Europe, where first human species evolved from the animal stage. It is Africa. So this is how first humans evolved from this, from animal stage to human stage. People evolved. Like animals move from one place to the other place in search of food, in search of water, in search of safety. Human animal also did not live in a single place. These human species also underline this sentence. Migration. Migration. Migrating from one place to the other place in search of food, in search of water, in search of safety. Safety from animals, safety from nature, safety from storms, cyclones, floods. It could be anything. This food, water, and safety. Today we are having so many facilities. for food. But our ancestors have to depend, like animals, they have to depend on the nature only. The evidence in archaeology is showing that it is from this place human species evolved from animal to human stage, and from there they started migrating to different places. This is what archaeology, no written record. They have not left any written record. They have left some evidence. Those evidences are there in the form of stones. So now you see how stones are important for us. If you just consider Stone Age, what is there in stone? Why there is a separate chapter for Stone Age, what is called Stone Age? Because there are certain stones. Those stones are the past records of our humanity. They have not written, but these stones are telling the story of our ancestors. What kind of life they had, what food they had, what kind of religious belief they had, what kind of science and technology they had, what kind of visualization they had in their life. These stones are giving that story, not the written record. It is much, that means lakhs of years ago before Bible, lakhs of years ago before Quran, lakhs of years ago before Puranas, people were there. We know about their past through these stones. There are so many stones. On what basis you are telling that some stones are giving the story, not every stone? Because the archaeologists identified that, archaeological records, they identified that there are certain tools like iron tools, copper tools, bronze tools. There are certain tools called stone tools. There are stones everywhere. They are naturally available. But when these archaeologists identified certain stones, they are appearing not very natural. They are something created by humans only. And these many animals are there, they are not able to make these stone tools. Only animal which is capable of creating such kind of invention is human species, based on the availability of stone tools. Based on availability of stone tools, it is giving us information that it is not Adam and Eve, the first people on this earth. Long ago, lakhs of years ago, some people were there, and those people are our ancestors. We come to know about them only through evidence of stone tools. Some stones were identified by some archaeologists, some scholars, and they analyzed it that these stones are not normal stones, but they are the tools used by our ancestors. Based on these stone tools, we can analyze our ancestors' story in Indian subcontinent. That story goes back to lakhs of years ago. They have not written anything. That's why that age is known as Stone Age. Therefore, prehistoric means before writing. Our only source is archaeological source. It is also synonymous with Stone Age. Chapter number 1. Is it clear? Classification of history. This is very important. Our history is not only this one. Whatever written records are saying, whatever religious books are saying is not our history. It is one version of history. But people were there much long ago before these religious literature, religious ideas were created. We come to know about them only through archaeological records. That is stone tool that phase is known as prehistoric period, because history is divided based on written record. The point where written records are available, it is called historic period. Before that, we have to call prehistoric period. Prelims question, prehistoric period. In mains also, you will get this sentence, a prehistoric age. Prehistoric period, also known as Stone Age, because this prehistoric period, we have to analyze about them through stone tools. That's why it is also called Stone Age. Our chapter is Stone Age, and with the existing evidence of the stone tools, how they lived, we have to analyze. The crux of this chapter is to know about these people through the existing evidences. In different places, we got a different set of stone tools. Based on those stone tools, with radiocarbon dating method and various other techniques, scholars can identify the age of that stone tool. Based on that, we can analyze their lifestyle. With respect to Indian context, now initially they don't know writing, but at one point of time they started inventing writing. Today, as we are living in 21st century, we are able to read about them. But there are some people in our past, they know how to write also, they have written also. Today we can see that what they have writing, what they have written, but unfortunately we are yet to know what is the meaning of that. For example, if I show you this one, this is what. Now identify this. For example, if you identify this, this is what they have written. Even today also, we don't know whether it is alphabet like ABCD, whether it is ABCD or something else, whether it is alphabet or is just image, or each image is giving some kind of meaning, we don't know. This phase, they have written something, but we don't know what the meaning of this. That phase, we cannot call it the prehistoric period. Why? Prehistoric means there should be no written record, but we have a written record. And we cannot call it a historic period also, because we are not able to know about these people by reading this. We are not able to read this. That phase, in Indian history, we have a third classification that is in between historic period and prehistoric period. That phase is known as protohistoric period. Prelims question, protohistoric period. Chapter number 1 is prehistoric period, Stone Age, and chapter number 2 is protohistoric period. And who are these people? These people are known as Indus Valley Civilization. Identify this. Indus Valley Civilization, chapter number 2. Then, if we are not able to read, then how to know about them? Again, we have to depend on whatever evidence they left, whatever tools they left, whatever monuments they left, whatever burial grounds they left. Only that by digging the ground, we can understand. Again, chapter number 1 also we have to depend on archaeology. Chapter number 2 also we have to depend on, again, archaeology. Only difference is, this is known as prehistoric period. This is known as protohistoric period. Protohistoric means like history. It is like history. History like, but we cannot call it a historic period. One classification based on written record, this is how. Indus Valley Civilization. We have written record beginning from Vedas. That's why Vedic period, Vedas are there. Even today also we can read, analyze, and we can understand during this time period how these people are living. That's why from 3rd chapter onwards we call historic period. Historic period. This is purely based on writing. purely based on writing. This is how history classified. So classification of history. Could you get it? In the classification of history, we have three classification. First one, no written record. That is chapter number 1, Stone Age. Second chapter, Protohistoric. They have written, but we are not able to know. That is Indus Valley. Third chapter onwards, Historic Period. But don't you think it is confusing? What is history? History means past. History means a record of our human past. What our ancestors have done. Is it only Vedic people are our ancestors? Indus Valley people are also our ancestors only. Stone Age people are also our ancestors only. Then, if we are talking about their past, that means ideally history means it should be everything. Then why this classification? Historic period, proto-historic, prehistoric. It is only to show that how important literature is in our human life. How important education in our human life. Simply, even today also, if India wants to grow, our education system should be very strong. If India wants to develop very strong security system, technology and science must be very good. For that, again, strong education system is required. Even today also, we are seeing that is how education system changes a person's life. European history changed because of that kind of new perspective. Therefore, in human history, writing is very important. Therefore, based on writing, this is how the classification of history happened. Prehistoric, protohistoric, and historic period. Now, can you understand Bible, Quran, Puranas, in which context they emerged without knowing what has happened earlier? It's not possible. Can you understand the third chapter without understanding what happened before that? Not possible. Can you understand the second chapter without understanding the beginning of human life? Is it possible? No. That's where our history starts with this. That is chapter number 1, Stone Age. This Stone Age, so far we have dealt with the classification of the past. History means record of the past, record of our ancestors' life. In that, we have two sources. Therefore, I am introducing this term. What are the sources to understand our human past means? We have two sources. Sources of history. This is another prelims question. Be very careful. We have two sources to know about our history. One is a literary source. Another one is archaeological source. A literary source, whatever is written by our ancestors, if we are able to read and understand it, that becomes literary source. If we cannot, we have to depend on whatever evidence they left, in what kind of houses they lived, what kind of tools they lived, what kind of pottery they made, what kind of burial system they followed, what kind of paintings they left, all those things, archaeological sources. Digging the past, whatever objects, whatever human articles that were discovered, based on that we have to reconstruct it. Sources means archaeological sources and literary sources. Based on these sources, history classified into three segments. Number 1, historic period, before that proto-historic period, and before that prehistoric period. Every terminology is very important in prelims and mains. In both phases, this terminology is going to appear. Prehistoric period is chapter number 1, that is Stone Age. Protohistoric period is chapter number 2, Indus Valley Civilization. And third chapter onwards is called historic period. Written records are there. The time period, next element, that is timeline. Timeline, if you see, we are talking, this is mathematical scale. At somewhere you have to count it. Today we are counting like 2025. That means few years ago 2000, few years ago 1000, few years ago 1. Does it mean people are there only from this? And what is the reference of this 1, 2, 3 and so on? 2025 means this is a reference from Jesus. But just now I have explained you people were there before Jesus also. People were there before Bible also. People were there before so-called first human beings on the earth, Adam and Eve also. How do you compare? That we compare 100 years before Jesus, 1000 years before Jesus, 1 lakh years before Jesus. So in case of India, our evidence is coming at this point also. When Jesus was living in some place, people were there in India. 100 years before Jesus also people were there. 1000 years ago also people were there. 1 lakh years ago also people were there. 1500 BC, that means 1500 before Jesus is considered as the Vedic. That means 1500 BC onwards we have something to read and write, to read and understand. That is Vedic period. But in India, people were there before Vedas also. These are Stone Age people, what we are giving them, and IVC, Indus Valley Civilization people. Is it clear? Jesus is the reference because Europe ruled across the globe in 1900s and up to mid of 20th century. 1800s, 1900s, they ruled literally the world, and their way of approach, calendar and timeline popularized across the globe. That's why this kind of date or timeline we are following. But in India, long ago, lakhs of years ago, before Jesus, people were there. Those people we cover in chapter number 1 and 2, that is Stone Age and Indus Valley Civilization. That moment people started digging more and more evidence about our ancestors, even British people were also astonished during colonial period. They also could not understand how deeply Indian history is there, how progressive and how developed much before English people themselves developed in Europe. Much long ago, before Europe developed, or much before Europeans started understanding literature, started understanding agriculture, in India, a lot of progress has happened. That evidence comes from first 2 chapters. So as of now, we will stop this unit with this. So we have clearly understood the crux of this video is the classification of our history. We have 3 ways of classifying the history based on the sources, that is literary source and archaeological sources. If there is no written record, it is called prehistoric, that is Stone Age. If it is a historic, if it is written record, that is Vedas, historic period. But in India, we have a peculiar situation where they have written but we don't understand. That is known as protohistoric period. This is how we have to see our past. All right. With this, we are ending first part of chapter number 1, that is Stone Age. In the coming parts, we will know what was the life of these people. All right. Thank you.